Hello everybody, welcome back to Week 12 Power Rankings. We're already at Week 12. And today we are going to start back in Oakland. Alright, so Oakland drops one spot. They're 20-60 now in the year. And yeah, they had a good run the last couple weeks, but they kind of slowed down. And unfortunately just wasn't enough to keep them at 29, so they did drop one spot. Not much the same about Oakland. The one thing I have to say real quick is the guy, Fujinami, I don't know his name, sorry I butchered it. I can't understand why he's so bad because he throws some nasty pitches. I'm gonna have to watch. Someone should make a video on that because he has some nasty stuff and he is it's absolutely wrecked. So if someone knows, explain, and otherwise free video for someone to make because that would be such a cool video to see because he has some nasty tools. He just can't seem to get it together. So I'd love to know about that. But anyways, Oakland's at 30. All right, moving at one spot are the Royals. They're now 22-56, so still an abysmal record for a forgettable year. But they do pass Oakland, so good job to Kansas City. Give a little golf clap. Yeah, nothing to talk about here. Again, they're struggling mega right now, and I think this is going to be a two-team race where they're 29-30 all year, unless the Rockies really start slowing down, or the Nationals as well. Even the Cardinals maybe, but for now it seems like these two teams are really stuck at the bottom. So right now the Royals are at 29. All right, at 28 in the same spot as last week are the Rockies. So I believe they're 31-49 now, and yeah, they just have not had a good week for about a month or so now, and it's just not been a fun watch for anyone really. So unfortunately the Rockies find themselves still at 28 because they just can't get it rolling. And yeah, if I'm a Rockies fan, there's really nothing to smile about because nothing's really working for you right now. So hopefully they show some life next week, but right now they're still at 28. All right, same spot as last week are the Nationals. So they had a nice one with Gray, had a good start, which was fun to see. But yeah, they also have been having a hard time putting together another solid week. It's been a bit for them as well, I would say, since they had a real solid week. So unfortunately for Nationals fans, there's not a lot to be excited about right now because they're not playing the most exciting baseball. But again, this is pretty much where expectations were. So for the A's and the Nationals, I think you're kind of right where people expected. I think maybe the Royals are a little disappointed, and the Rockies are obviously mega disappointed because they bought some people and they have some good big contracts, I should say, and they just haven't been putting it together. So, but anyways, the Nationals are at 27. But again, I think it's kind of where people expected to be at. All right, 26 are the Cardinals. So they're still at 26 and they're done, obviously. I said this last week, but they're dead. I'm surprised their manager's still there. I wonder if he'll be fired more closely towards the end of the year to kind of take that. Like if you fire him in July or whatever, it's going to be a lot of talk around him. If you fire him in August or maybe at the very end of the year right away, then people are going to be like, okay, whatever. But if you use it now, it's going to be a talking point of why they're doing it. You're basically blaming it on him. And I necessarily wouldn't, so maybe you're going to wait to the end of the year to get rid of him. But the Cardinals are done. They're dead. If they come back, I don't even know. I'll fly to their first playoff game. But I just have no faith in them. So the Cardinals are at 26, and it's probably the most disappointing year in franchise history. Maybe the most disappointing year in franchise history ever, or in recent history. I'm not saying that right, but you know what I'm saying. This is the most disappointing season in a while for the Cardinals. All right, same spot as last week are the Tigers. So the Tigers had some good wins and some bad losses the last couple weeks, and they stay at 25. They're not playing terrible. The record's 33-43, so only 10 games below 500. You're still ahead of the White Sox, so again, not great for Detroit, but not necessarily what they're looking for. So they are at 25 still, and I think this is kind of where they're going to be at the rest of the year. So Detroit, though, I think next year, maybe even 2 years, you could see them now being a competitor in the Central, but I think right now they kind of are where people expect them to be. All right, same spot as last week are the White Sox. So this will be a fun team to watch at the deadline to see who they dump. Obviously, people are saying Giolito. I think maybe you keep Anderson, Cease, and Robert, and everyone else is probably gone. That's my gut telling me that. I think Benintendi's probably gone, unless someone doesn't want to take on his contract. But we'll see. That's what I'm saying. It'll be interesting. But White Sox had a mediocre week. I think they're still below 500 this week, so they don't move up at all. They're still at 25, so the White Sox, again, disappointing season, a very forgettable one, and I think that the way they've been playing solidifies this is really a true two-team race between the Guardians and the Twins. But yeah, so right now, White Sox are at 25. All right, same spot as last week are the Mets at 23. So 2 weeks in a row now, I've said the White Sox are 25. They're 24, so I put that on the screen again. 2 weeks in a row I've done that, so that's embarrassing. But the Mets almost dropped to 24, but now they're at 23, but they almost dropped to 24. They've been playing real bad, and I keep waiting for them to get it going. If I'm the owner, I'm not happy because you have a very big payroll and your team is playing very bad. Your record is 35-42. I think that's updated, so not great for the Mets. They're not having a good season right now. They've been playing bad the last month, and yeah, I think it might be time to hit the panic button. We'll see if they do at the deadline if they decide to add, but it'll be a bold move when you're 7 games below 500. So we shall see. Yeah, right now the Mets are at 23. All right, dropping 3 spots are the Pirates. So I think you can officially say that kind of the season's over for them in terms of like the winning the Central or something. But the good news is the Reds replaced them, so you have another fun team to watch that wasn't really in it beginning of the year. But yeah, the Pirates had a great run, but now their record is 35-42, and I just don't think they have what it takes to build, get a comeback from that. So unfortunately, this is probably where it ends for the hype of the Pirates, but they put up a great fight. I think they made it to top 9 or 10 on the board, so not bad. I respect the Pirates, but I think I'm ready to declare them dead. I don't think they'll at the deadline. I think their owner's too cheap, so that's unfortunate. But yeah, so I have them right now at 22. So hopefully they can have a couple more good solid weeks, but I think this might be where they'll be around the rest of the year. All right, moving at 1 spot are the Mariners. So the Mariners, again, haven't been able to put together a solid week yet. I mean, they're still 2 games below 500. They've teetered around 500, but they haven't really broke in one direction in terms of a lot of losses or a lot of wins. They've been still having mediocre weeks after mediocre week. So they're still at 21. They haven't really had any movement in a while because they haven't been able to put together that solid week, and they haven't really impressed me much at all. So unfortunately for the Mariners, they're still at 21 after a great last couple of years. They're not getting as lucky as they usually do. So the Mariners now are at 21. Hopefully they can get it going, because I think it would be unfortunate if they didn't make it. But at least if they don't make it, hopefully the Angels take their spot, because that would be another exciting team to watch. But yeah, right now the Mariners are at 21. All right, same spot as last week are the Guardians. The Guardians, they had some chances to win some more games, but they were winning a lot. So they ended last week really strong. So I wasn't super surprised to see them start losing some games, but because it would have been a great run for them. But they needed those wins because the Twins started winning now. So unfortunately for the Guardians, I think now they're 3 games back versus I think they were tied or 1 game back. So the Guardians, unfortunately, like I said, couldn't keep that momentum all throughout the whole week, but doesn't necessarily mean they have a bad week. They didn't do it well enough to move up. They actually maybe would have moved down, but there's no one move above them, so they stay at 20. Yeah, the Guardians still having a mediocre week. They need to have, if they want to beat the Twins, which hopefully you don't, because I'm a Twins fan, but if you want to, you need to have 5 or 6 win week, and hopefully the Twins pull a Twins and go below 500. But right now, the Guardians at 20. All right, dropping 1 spot are the Padres. They're now 37-41. They did not have a good week, and they dropped a spot. So last week I was debating if I didn't move them up enough, or like I should have moved them up, and I was like, I'll give them another week to try. This week they failed. So the Padres are now at 19. They're not looking good. They're still 4 games below 500. They need a jolt, and we'll see if they can get that going soon. But again, they're just playing mediocre ball, so I have them still at 19. All right, moving up 3 spots are the Cubs. So the Cubs are playing well right now. They're 37-39, so they're right where they kind of want to be after a slow start. They had a really brutal stretch, and now they've had a really great stretch. So congrats to the Cubs for finally getting back in that race. Now they got to keep it going, because you're still 2 games below 500. You're not in a wild card spot, but if you keep this momentum going, that Central, honestly, don't even shoot for wild card. Shoot for the Central, because it's not that far out of reach, especially with the Reds and Brewers being the teams to beat. And I think you're only a few games behind them now. So the Cubs are playing great. I have them at 18. Hopefully they can keep this rolling. All right, dropping 6 spots are the Astros. So people might be upset by this. They're too low. 17 is way too low. Disrespectful. They don't look good right now, and I am worried about them. They've lost some pitchers, and they lost Ordon still. So I don't know what's in store for this team right now, because the Angels and Rangers could easily just run away with it when you're kind of playing like this. So I'm a little worried for the Astros. I'm obviously not declaring them dead or anything, but they have not been playing well, and this might be seen as a steep drop. I can understand that argument, but the teams, I think, even if necessarily didn't do as like bad enough to go below some of these teams, I think just right now in the playoff series, I would take them, because the Astros just don't look great right now. So that's why I kind of use that to justify moving down a little bit more than maybe I would have liked to. But again, I think the teams all about them are playing better, so that's why they're at 17. All right, dropping 2 spots are the Red Sox. The Red Sox look like they're going to have another great week in Minnesota. And they lost the last 2, which a split isn't bad away from home, but then you lost to the White Sox. A series you can't lose. So unfortunately for the Red Sox, they now are 16, so they're no longer in the top half. I was debating what to do with them, and after I just decided, you know what, you lost the series to the White Sox. That's a series you need to win. So I do move them back to 16. So the Red Sox now are out of the top half, but their offense is scary. So as they can get some pitching help at the trade deadline, this could be a team to have on your radar. But right now, I'm moving down to 16. All right, moving up 1 spot are the Twins. So the Twins kind of salvaged the week after a rough start. They were down 0-2 to Boston. They've been winning the last 2, and then they won the series in Detroit. So if they would have lost to Detroit today, they would have moved down even more. But they bounced back, they finished strong, and now they went 4-3 in a week, which necessarily isn't a great week, which is why they only move up 1 spot. But I think that first win against Boston really sparked the team. Then they destroyed them in Game 2. And then they had a decent series in Detroit. They still had the problem of playing bad against bad teams. But this Atlanta series, hopefully they can take 1. If they take 2, that'd be great. But yeah, the Twins, looked like if they start clicking on offense, Buxton had a little streak of good. Now he's back to being bad, so hopefully he can get it going. But the offense can get going. This is a pitching staff that can take you far in the playoffs, in my opinion. So they're at 15 right now, though. They have the offense still to put it together, but they do move up one spot, so that's why I have them at 15. All right, moving up one spot are the Brewers. The Brewers, again, didn't have a crazy week. I mean, not even necessarily a great week or a good week, but enough to move them up one spot. I do not think the Twins deserve to be ahead of them, so that's really why they move up. Again, they didn't do anything to like make me be like, wow, they deserve to be higher, because their record's still only 40-37. So the Brewers, and I think the Brewers and Twins are basically the same. They suck at hitting, so we'll see if the Brewers can again put it together. But those are two teams that it's just hard to have faith in right now. But again, these are two teams that have shown glimmers of hope. So we'll see what the Brewers can do next week. And right now I have that for you. All right, dropping 7 spots of the Angels. So now they're at 13. And this is the risky part of having them so high last week. It's just like they were probably too high last week, but I wanted to give them the recognition they deserved. But they were on very thin ice when I put them that high. And yeah, this week they fall because every other team around them, I truly believe, is playing better and are better teams right now. So that's why they moved down to 13. So I know some people that might be a tough pill to swallow for some, but they didn't have a great week. So I do move them down 7 spots all the way to 13. I still think they're a good team. I think, honestly, the teams from 13 up are fairly solid teams. I think that these 3 teams and the Astros have some stuff to prove at this point, but the Angels, again, don't have a great week, so they're at 13. All right, moving up 1 spot are the Phillies. So they're at 12. They kind of just had a quiet week. They didn't play a whole bunch of games. So they only move up 1 spot. Honestly, I could have flipped them and the Angels because, again, they had a quiet week. The Phillies all still look good. The record now is 40-37, so they're in a good spot, I think, after having an abysmal start. So the Phillies, I think they're going to be adding to the deadline. I think they've been looking for stuff to improve their team. But yeah, I'm glad they bounced back because they were disappointing for a while. So now they're at 12. They can relax maybe a little bit, so they can take a breath and just start winning some games. And they should have now have some pressure off them because they did get back to over 500. So they're in a decent spot, I think. And I have them at 12. All right, moving up 6 spots, Cincinnati Reds. This was really exciting. So unfortunately, they don't win that series against the Braves, but they could have. The Reds are such a fun team to watch. I watched the first game against the Braves. I caught that one. I was watching it on MLB.TV. Glad I watched the whole thing through because that was a great game. Again, the Reds are looking good right now. They're 41-37. Now, is that sustainable? I don't know. I don't care. I think, though, with Joey Votto coming back as a leadership role, they could be special. They really need pitching help. That's what's going to carry them into the playoffs if they want to get there. They need pitching help. So we'll see what they're willing to do with the deadline because they do have a lot of prospects. So we'll see if they want to hang on to them and just say, you know what, this was a great year, but next year we're going to go all in, or if they want to risk it now. We'll see. I could see them going either way, honestly. So right now they're at 11, and they're a fun team to watch. So all right, dropping 1 spot are the Blue Jays. So the Blue Jays, not necessarily a bad week. They're not playing bad at all, actually. They're playing fairly decent, but I did have a team pass them, and I truly believe the team that passed them is a better team right now in the stretch they're playing. So they do drop to 10. So the Blue Jays, again, though, don't take this as a slight. You're not playing bad per se. You're just not playing as good as the team I decided to put above you. So I do think the Blue Jays, though, will continue to be around the top 10 because they are playing fairly consistently. They seem to have found their footing, so I won't worry. The Blue Jays, again, still in a good spot, but I do have them at 10 now. All right, dropping 1 spot are the Yankees. So this team, I could have gone either way. I could have kept them at 8, but I do drop them down to 9. They did actually have a fairly decent week. So yeah, we'll see what people think about my next team. But again, I can see the argument for they should have moved up or stayed at 8. But again, I thought the other team deserved to be higher. But yeah, the Yankees, though, they had a good week. They beat the Rangers, a solid team to win against. And the Yankees now, without Judge, they look great. But they won some important games. They won both their series. So the Yankees, again, had a decent week, a pretty good week, considering not having Judge. But I do drop them down 1 spot, which I understand is probably the hottest take of the week. Yankees fans probably won't like that. But if you keep playing the way you are, you're going to be back up to the top row in no time. So right now, they're at 9. All right, moving up 4 spots are the Giants. So this is the team that passed the Blue Jays and the Yankees. And I can see people being mad. Like, they don't deserve to be that high. In my opinion, they do. They've been playing really well, so I do move them up to 8. Again, the Yankees fans might not be happy. But I really do think the Giants deserve some recognition. Them and the Marlins have just come out of nowhere, really, and people aren't really talking about them. So I'm kind of being like, hey, let's focus on these teams that have really just been under the radar and just kind of swooped in. The record's now 44-34, so not a bad spot to be for the Giants. So the Giants and Diamondbacks are really giving the Dodgers a run for their money. That could be a really intense race. So that should be really fun down the stretch. But yeah, the Giants are playing well, so I do have them at 8. All right, moving up 2 spots are the Dodgers. So the Dodgers are also playing well. Again, this is a team that's kind of been back and forth a lot this year. They've been up and down on the board. They've had some really good weeks and okay weeks and bad weeks. They had a good week this week. So the Dodgers are now at 7. So again, if you're a Dodgers fan, I wouldn't be super worried. I think this team is just, they have the leadership. They don't necessarily have the most talented roster out there, but I think they have that leadership of Betts and Freeman and Kershaw to kind of lead the team. And I think when they've had bad weeks, they haven't really let it roll into 2 weeks, which is why the top teams remain top teams. They don't have bad consecutive weeks. So the Dodgers now are at 7. Again, they're playing better, so I did move them up 2 spots. All right, moving up 1 spot are the Marlins. The Marlins are looking real good right now. Again, people might be surprised by the Giants and Marlins being up here, but I really do think the Marlins are playing really well and deserve some recognition. So I have them at 6 right now. I do think this will continue because they look that good right now. Rise is carrying the offense. They have a really good pitching staff. Again, I think their bullpen's going to be bolstered at the trade deadline. But again, the Marlins deserve some respect. So right now I have them at 6. All right, the same spot as last week are the Rangers. The Rangers actually didn't have a great week. Not bad enough for the Marlins to pass them, but the Rangers, though, this might be a week they want to forget. I think next week they will have a stronger week to bounce back from because, again, it wasn't a great week for the Rangers. They still have a great record. They're still kind of cruising. They still have that, I think they still have that division on lock, probably. Yeah, the Rangers didn't have a great week necessarily, so they're still at 5, though. Great spot to be, but they didn't do anything to move up. So right now, I'm keeping them at 5. All right, same spot as last week are the Diamondbacks. The Diamondbacks still look great. Again, not like a crazy week. Still a solid week for the Diamondbacks, though, over 500. So right now, still at 4, though. Again, they have a week to pop off and pass a couple teams. They stay at 4, which is a respectable spot to be. Again, they're playing consistently now. I think this team is for real. The record's out 47-32, so I think you got to start respecting the Diamondbacks. And right now, I'm still keeping them at 4. All right, same spot as last week are the Orioles. So the Orioles are still looking good. Another team that just, you got to respect them. They've been putting it together forever now. Their week after week has been real solid for the Orioles. The record's 47-29, so again, it's still a great spot for the Orioles to be. It's not rare. It's not often where you see the Yankees 3rd in that division or even 4th. But the Orioles and Rays are on top right now, and I don't think anyone will catch them. Maybe, I don't know. But the Orioles and Rays are looking real consistent right now. So I keep the Orioles at 3. They are still playing really good baseball. All right, same spot as last week are the Braves. The Braves were real close to overtaking the Rays. They have another week like this week, the last 2 weeks, and the Rays have another week like they did this week. The Braves will pass them. The Braves are looking unreal right now. I'm afraid for my Twins playing them this week. But yeah, the Braves have been out unreal. There's not much else to say other than they're the hottest team in baseball right now. And if I would not want your team to play them right now because they're looking that good. So hopefully the Twins can get something going, but I won't be surprised if they got swept. That's how good the Braves are looking right now. The record's out 15-27. They just are unbelievable right now. So they did lose that one game in Cincinnati, but still they put up a fight. So right now I have them at 2, but again, this team could be overtaking the 1 spot real soon. All right, same spot as last week are the Rays. So like I said, the Rays didn't have a great week, and they were close to being overtaken, but they're still in the 1 spot. The record's 54-27, so still a very solid record. But now the Braves are closing that gap. So these are 2 really good teams right now. I'd love it if they had a series right now this week. That would be such a great series to watch. Yeah, the Rays, though, are still the top dogs. They're playing unreal. So right now I still have them at 1. So, again, like we'll see next week, we'll see if they end up moving, but I think the Rays will have a bounce-back week, so we'll see if the Braves will catch them. All right, anyways, this is Week 12 Power Rankings. Let me know what you think, what I got wrong, what I got right. I know some hot takes in there, like the Astros location or the Yankees. I know it might be a hot take. Let me know what you think in the comment section below, and I'll see you guys next week.